Woo-wee! For all y'all that are tuning in tonight, boy, do we got we got a lot to say. You are not going to want to miss this. Welcome to Girlfriends in Football. It is Wednesday night, your favorite night with your favorite girls. We got Beth, Sherry, and your girl Desi all in the house. We are so excited to talk football. I promise. We have
Actually,
so
I
much
don't
to
know
talk about.
if Beth and I really are.
I know. I'm like, do we really start with this? Because first, I can't start with that. First, my freaking 49ers are in the Super Bowl.
Congratulations.
Yeah, stoked.
Congratulations.
I kind of feel bad because Laura's sweetheart, and I do love the Lions fans. And in another world, if I liked a different team, I totally would have been cheering for the Lions. So I will put that out there. Lions fans were fantastic, except for Marshall Mathers, who was flipping off the 49ers when they were winning in the first half. And then, well, we know how.
Well,
You really expect anything less from him, though.
No.
I
a lot of
mean,
hubbub about this on social media. That's so weird. There was a star in the stands that was shown flipping off fans, being very disrespectful, and I didn't actually hear about this. But it seems like you can't just show up to a game anymore if you're famous, but he could flick off people and it's not that big of a news.
Well, it was a big deal to us 49er fans, I can tell you that. And that was definitely on our feed. But I guess we're just going to go into this. Oh, thanks, Giants Niner fan. I appreciate that. I thought that was a good show.
Also, about that game, though, can we talk about that game for a few minutes before we delve into the other worlds that we're going to be running into?
Yes.
I mean, Desi, I'm glad that you guys won. I'm happy for you, all of that. You know that. I'm so sad that Detroit lost. It hurts my heart that Detroit lost. I felt like I was watching Buffalo in that game because it was something that Buffalo would do, right? Like come out, balls to the wall first half, and then just nothing clicks the second half.
Yeah.
I've talked to lots of Detroit fans. I've talked to a lot of people about that game. And what's your take? What do you think went, I guess, what went wrong for Detroit? Because anybody looking at the first half of that game would have said there's not a chance in hell that the 49ers would have finished out that game.
So there was a lot of Niner fans that like literally I entered like a Twitter space at halftime and we're called the faithful. And there was a lot of faith being lost. Not going to lie. Mom and I were coming back. We went to a Niners watch party. We were trying to feel it out. We show up. There's nothing but Ravens flock everywhere. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this. We got a seat, finished the Ravens game, got an appetizer. Mom couldn't hear. So we were like, let's roll. We're on the way home and I'm listening to the game on the radio and it's like Lions score, missed field goal. I remember I'm pulling into my neighborhood and Jake Moody misses a field goal and I just start screaming in the car. So then I pull in and I vaguely see Sherry's like, good luck. And I'm like, no, it's the kiss of death. So in our like message
Sherry is never allowed to comment during a game ever. Ever. No, Sherry, just accept the fact that you cannot talk to anyone until a game is over.
So interestingly, you should ask me, Beth, that Sherry commented. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to ignore everything.
I just thought I would just say good luck. I literally said good luck. I mean, I'm in the same boat with Beth. I was like, I love the Lions. We don't know this. So I was just saying good luck.
No, it was an excellent game plan. I mean, the Lions really came out. They wanted it. I don't even know. I mean, I think I tweeted at one point, is the defense hungry? Because we're back to not making good tackles and things are just going right by and we're not stopping. We're just bleeding, just holes in the defense. It just didn't look like us at all. And, interestingly also, Journey was the halftime show and they sang Don't Stop Believing. So there's that. But they came out in the second half and kind of the tweet that I put out there right before the second half started was, we are a second half team that makes really smart adjustments. And sure enough, we came out and our defense was playing and, things did go our way, right? I mean, we forced a fumble. We had some key stops. We had just opportunities that we took advantage of. And, I've heard a couple people say, it's not always who plays the better game, it's who doesn't make the mistakes. And in that second half, we capitalized on every, opportunity, and we did not make the mistakes that cost us the game.
Well,
We have
back with 27 unanswered points, and a game is not played in 2 quarters. A game is played in 4 quarters. So, much like what I was arguing in defense of my Florida State Seminoles back to, college games, like everybody was like, well, you didn't win by 50 points. As far as I know, a W is still a W. I mean, the team that makes it the W in the end is who wins, whether it's overtime, whether it's 1 point, whether it's 3 points, and you had to come back 27 points to get it. The team that rallies to do that is the better team that wins the game.
Yes, 100%. And, that's where I wouldn't even allow myself to celebrate until the last second was off the clock. I was like, onside kick. I'm like, ooh, onside kick.
And it almost happened too. I mean, that was for an onside kick try. That was a pretty darn good try.
Decent. It's pretty decent. And it's funny because George Kittle's the one who caught that onside kick. And I didn't know this, but after the game, he then said that the last time we played the Lions, like there was an onside kick and he missed it. Like he didn't get it. So he kind of felt like some kind of way about he was going to be able to catch this one. Yeah. So, shout out to Trent Williams. This is his first Super Bowl. That man has worked his tail off. So hats off to him. Really excited for him. Christian McCaffrey, lots of great guys on this team. And Brock Purdy hopefully has, I'll get into this because Ryan Clark on Get Up last week. I don't know if I said this on the podcast because we had a lot of action going on last week. Ryan Clark came out on TV and said that the hardest thing he's had to do was come out and say that Brock Purdy belonged in the conversation with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. So basically, in that one statement, he came out and said that he's lied, which there goes your credibility. But, 2, it's really, that's just mean, right? It's just not that you have to be nice to be an analyst, but I kind of gear myself towards the ones that are a little bit more, I guess polite is the word. I don't know. Just seems to be a little bit more level-headed with their stuff. So during the game, he tweets out, basically, oh, I was wrong. Like, okay, he put the team on his back, da, 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 da. And then I watched Get Up on Monday and he was just laying it on thick. And I pretty much tweeted out like, is it me or does he sound like the cheating boyfriend that's trying to come back home? Because he's laying it on thick today. But in my mind, that's not even what I was upset about. I'm just upset that you lied. Like you're entitled, like you're absolutely entitled to not, like you cannot like Brock Purdy. I'm not forcing you to like him, but don't say that you said that. Like it almost sounded like you were forced to say what you didn't believe. And to me, that then is just a ding in your character. And so if you're truly going to come out, like you can come out and say, okay, my opinion on him has changed. And oh, by the way, I'm sorry that that it's come out that I lied about my take in the first place. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm probably just making more out of it than what it should be. But I was definitely, I don't know, it just tweaked
maybe
my
it's
nerve.
because you're in love with Brock Purdy at this
I was
point.
going to say,
I feel like you have more passion behind this. I didn't take away the same energy from that. Even as you described it after the fact, like I still don't have the same takeaway that you have.
Yeah,
but I understand where you're coming from because you have stood behind Purdy the whole season.
Yes. Well, and again, like you don't have to agree. I think it's just a matter of like just be about what you believe in and stand by it, right? So like it's kind of what irritates me sometimes about Stephen A, right? Or it's just sometimes they're saying things as clickbait and trying to get, I guess clicks, right? That's what clickbait is. But it kind of just doesn't sit well. And that was my whole thing on
Girl, we could talk. I could talk about this all day long with people for clickbait. I mean, seriously, but in a different, realm.
Yeah,
But
they're all out there.
about, I have a question about this game because there was so much made about the going for it on 4th and 3 by Dan Campbell
So that
missing.
was that was
Yeah,
kind of where I was headed in that initial question, but we
yeah.
kind of went off on another tangent. But that was
They have
where
people.
so
Yeah,
speaking with the Detroit people though, and a lot of it is, that's what they've done all season, right? Like that's
exactly.
their percentage for making fourth down plays was higher than their percentage of their field goal kicker in that range. Like I think the field goal percentage was 50% and the getting first downs
They
was
all about
80%,
Campbell.
of converting that fourth down. So like they were playing the
Moneyball.
percentages what they were doing all season long. It just
Yeah.
it wasn't happening that night, right?
Yeah. And I
So
think, oh, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, I just, I wonder in those situations, like, do you try and go for the easy points because the easy points are there? But if you've only got a 50-50 shot,
Yeah.
is it really necessarily? I don't know. We lost by a field goal. So I mean,
It coulda, woulda, shoulda on
who
so many.
who am I to say anything about taking a field goal
Florida
over
State talked to me
points?
about wide right. Okay, with Miami. I'm Florida State. Wide right was our curse for many, many, many years on field goals. I get it, like big thing. And I also get both sides of it, right? Because you're like, well, the Lions got to where they were with that play calling and with Dan Campbell, and it worked in the regular season. So why not keep applying that? On the flip side of that, I'm looking at it like, okay, we're playing for bigger, bigger things right now. We are in
Points
an
is points.
we are in an easy. This is not a 50-yarder. This is a easy kick, and points are points. Exactly. When you're going against San Francisco, I think you got to have the mindset for this big of a game to adjust. If you're so stuck in the statistics, you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like there's got to be a balance of a little bit more than, well, obviously what they didn't work against San Francisco. You can argue the play call all you want, but what they didn't work.
Well, it's interesting because what I had said before this game, if you guys remember, I said, will Dan Campbell's gutsy play calling be able to overcome Kyle Shanahan's conservative style, or will the defense make them pay for it? And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, that is what this game came down to.
Yeah.
So, truly, Dan Campbell is an incredible coach. They have an incredible team. They will learn from this. And, this isn't the last time that we've seen the Lions. This is the first time getting to this point. He's still a young coach in terms of just experience. And sometimes you just kind of got to go through these. But at the end of the game, Goff flat out said he was 100% in. Like, this is what they've done. They didn't expect anything different.
I get it. But again, in the circumstances of the game, wasn't that when y'all were scoring? You had multiple scoring plays at that point.
Yes.
And so why not just put points on the board, stop the momentum? What they did when they missed that fourth down, in my opinion,
they handed the game away.
It was done. It was done at that point.
Yeah. I have to say, I was shocked and not shocked at the same time. And to your point, you're giving your players just a little bit of oomph, right? Like, hey, we got points on the board. So now, like, let's just.
And also, we stop them.
It keeps it a one-score game. It keeps us in the play. We're still there, no matter what.
Right.
So I think in any case, it was a crazy game to watch, and my blue blood up north bled a little bit. It hurt, man. It hurt. It felt like it felt like a steel belt loss.
Sorry.
So
But
I'm
not.
excited for you. I understand, and I'm gonna support my friend through this.
Thanks,
But
sis. I appreciate you.
Still.
But we'll go on to where Sherry predict the outcome of the next game. So it was Chiefs Ravens, and this is the game that I guess you could say there was head scratching on both sides. So we've got a Giants Niner fan is asking who Sherry's team is. Sherry's team is
Bucks.
She's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and then she also supports the
Washington Commanders.
Those are her NFL teams, and then she's a Florida State Seminole through and through.
By the way, Baker Mayfield, Pro Bowl.
Yes, Baker Mayfield, Pro Bowl.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Side note.
All right, now for your correct prediction.
Yeah. So last week we had tried to, putting up who's going to win what game, and Sherry was the one who said Chiefs. And it came down to 17-10. I think the head scratcher for me is what the heck? Why was Lamar Jackson not running? Literally, that's his superpower.
Jackson? I mean, except for that one play where the ball was tipped and then he recaught it and ran, I didn't see Lamar Jackson that game.
I didn't see Mark Andrews either. Mark Andrews finally comes back. That's been his go-to guy the whole season. And I get it. He was injured. He's coming back. But I mean, I don't know. I was really perplexed. And there was a lot of self-inflicted wounds. They had, was it 8 penalties? I mean, stupid stuff. Yeah. They had 8 penalties.
It was ugly.
I mean, you can't win them.
Oh my. Oh, and that one play, what's his name? Flowers?
Zay Flowers. Yeah. He was running it in.
Oh my goodness gracious. The taunting call he did. Then he fumbled. Then, I mean, it was like, whoa.
Yeah, I think when the fumble happened, Zay Flowers went to the sideline and he was hitting his helmet, he ended up with bloody knuckles.
He scratched his hand.
Yeah.
I had to laugh. So it didn't happen in the play. It was him beating the helmet after the fact. That's okay. Because that's what I thought happened, but I thought he was bitching that his hand got bloodied while he was playing. He's like, "Look, I'm bleeding. I couldn't catch or I couldn't hold on to it, whatever." No, it was because he was beating his helmet. Okay, just check.
Yeah. And then shortly thereafter is when Lamar threw the interception to triple coverage, which I'm like, what happened there? And so he's going to the sideline, he's throwing his helmet. I'm like, at that moment, I'm like, they can't come back from this because mentally they're in a place of no return.
You've got to play 4 quarters of football. I mean, you can't let this, and it was like a spiral for the Ravens. I mean, it was that taunting call, it was that fumble, it was but they couldn't come back from any of it. They could not get gelled back together. And that's the difference between how the 49ers won that game, is they were like, okay, we dial it on, we play the full 4 quarters. I think the Ravens just imploded.
Yeah, but they did.
And the reason I picked Kansas City is because even though Kansas City had a couple games where they were getting off track with each other and they were having a little, why aren't we connecting spats like this? Man, they dialed it back in the last few weeks. They totally dialed it back in. And if they dial it back in and the Ravens aren't cohesive, they dialed it back in.
You can't sleep on Kelsey or Mahomes.
And Kelsey had a great game. He was phenomenal in that game. You can't stop him. Pacheco is what killed us in the Buffalo game.
Right.
Kelsey just ran over them. Pacheco was nothing in that game compared to Kelsey. I mean, Kelsey just walked all over Baltimore.
And it was Baltimore wasn't even thinking about it. I'm watching the plays going, how did you not consider this was the play? Like it was a little bewildering. The Ravens did not have it together, but Desi, you were very high on the Ravens all season, and I've been poo-pooing a little bit. I've been like, I'm not seeing it as much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought, and again, in season Lamar is
Yeah,
different than postseason Lamar. And that's the sad part is if they had played the game, and you're talking about Dan Campbell, right? He stayed true to who they are. Like that's the one thing
Mhm.
you can say. Like, yeah, I mean, we can sit here and say he should have gone for points, but that's the same brand of football they've played all season. And then you look at the Ravens, and their brand of football involves Lamar rushing for
right,
a considerable
right.
amount. Like a big part of their offensive power is from Lamar's legs. And then you get to the one of the biggest games in the NFL, and you pull back from who you are. Like it just that's the difference. And which way do you want to lose? Do you want to lose being who you were the whole season and then say, okay, well, let's look at how we maybe dial this up or that? Or do you just chicken out of who you were? Now you
Yeah,
don't
well,
know the solution because you never tested that brand with the competition.
but you got to think about the coaching on that and what you said about being like that all season long. Great. But don't you think there's a different strategy, a different playbook you have to take in tough games? Yeah, sure. Got you through the whole season. But don't you have a different playbook for the playoffs? Number one. And number two, I got to blame coaching there because I saw from the second Flowers started melting down with the thing and with the fun, he kept playing them, kept giving the ball to him. It kept happening. And it was like, then you just couldn't recover. It was too many. And they didn't recover. Like there was nothing building it up. And I gotta say, it feels like a little bit of a coaching and leadership issue there.
And that's exactly what they're talking about. So Greg Roman was their offensive coordinator for many years, and they canned him and brought in a new OC because Greg Roman essentially was getting blamed for their performance in the postseason. So, and of course, Greg Roman was former 49er. So, to me, I took that personally. No, just kidding. Kind of. And so now I'm like, well, obviously it wasn't Greg Roman. And so who do you actually point the finger to? Because you look at Harbaugh and you say, listen, you're the head coach. If you're pulling back from these design plays for Lamar because you want him to be a pocket passer, great. He did grow in pocket passer abilities this season. I mean, there was tremendous growth there for him, but that's not innately who he is, right? Like Josh Allen, you pull him away from being able to be the bully out there and a partial tight end. That's not who he is, right? So you don't want to pull away from what makes a player great. And to your point, Sherry, that is coaching. Coaching knows how to elevate a player utilizing their skill set and making them better and capitalize on it and winning games that way. And they just literally took that out of Lamar's hands.
Yeah.
So unfortunate for the Ravens. They are those fans are.
How's your hubby doing?
He's not, I think I've said before, he's not a big Lamar fan. He doesn't think Lamar's the answer. So he kind of half expected it, but still the air it sucked out of the room a bit. But the home is happy now. Like, now there's no like my team versus his team. So there's that.
Make life easy.
Life is a little bit easy, but it's still a tough wound. I've been there, right? Like last year, like 49ers, we didn't even have a shot at the NFC once Brock Purdy went down. So, I mean, I really can't joke around about that too much. It is hard. It is heart-wrenching, especially for like the diehard fans, whether you're the Lions or the Ravens. It is tough. You're one game away and, the opportunity to win. But that said, I guess this is a good segue since we're talking about Kelsey and Mahomes and
here we go.
That game. We're going to get into it.
Before we do that, because we can go into that as well, but can we talk about Kristen Juszczyk for a second? Juszczyk.
Kristen Juszczyk. Yes.
Did you hear what she just did? She
like
a contract with the NFL. She's selling her clothing through the NFL, her design.
Oh,
so
she got a licensing deal.
Pause. She got a licensing deal, so she's able to utilize their logos. It doesn't.
She's like one of like 3 brands that can do. Like she's like one of a handful of people, right, that can use the NFL legally.
Correct.
Logos.
as fuck, man.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
So amazing. And what's even more awesome than that, because I've been following her for a long time, like watching her make her own designs, like for her outfits for each game. And like, seriously was like, wow, this chick is amazing. And then finally the 49ers had this Women of NFL or whatever, have an event at Levi Stadium where they showcased all of her designs there. And all these women came and they met her, and they met her husband, Kyle Juszczyk, who's a fullback for the 49ers. And it was phenomenal. And then she started making these jackets for other people. And she didn't use any of the logos, so she didn't like get in trouble with that. There was no issue there, but she couldn't use them. So now she can apply those logos to any of the stuff that she makes, which is a great step. I'm still waiting for, I don't know, someone to actually partner with her to get her products out to the masses. Because trust me, if those jackets become available, my credit card, that's what I was like, I'm ready. It is hot and ready for some Kristen Juszczyk branded stuff, man. But what's even better than that too is that not only is she incredible and talented and just all the things, but it's so adorable watching Kyle Juszczyk hype her up. So anywhere that people were starting to like tweet or even Instagram, like her stuff, like when Taylor Swift came out, you see under all of them, Kyle Juszczyk, that's my woman, that's my wife, or, you know, show some love to Kristen Juszczyk. Like he was like giving her props everywhere. So if they didn't mention who made the stuff, he was there like trolling all these accounts to make sure that his wife got credit for it. I mean, it was like, where would the world be if every husband supported his wife like that, right? Like, awesome. Just incredible. So
it is really cute.
Yeah, they're cute.
They're real cute.
She should be.
She should be what?
Part of the reason why her brands became massively popular and visible to the world is because of
Taylor Swift.
There we go. We're getting into it.
Here
we go, guys. We're either going to get canceled before we ever get started, or maybe we'll open some like fun dialogue, because so just to preface this, I had posted something on my personal Facebook page, and it kind of was like a little bit of a wildfire. There's lots of opinions. I had no idea there were so many different, I'm calling them rabbit holes. And so I just kind of want to have an open forum to chat about opinions on the Taylor Swift phenomena. So where do we want to start, ladies?
Where do we even start, man? I was just going to say, do we do like a 30-second round robin, or where do we even start?
Well, I think we start at the beginning, right? So the beginning of the season, when all of this began, all of us would agree, right? It was cute. It was fun. Like, it was fun to see the Taylor Swift phenomenon like sweep across football. Giants, we're getting there.
I'm just gonna leave that there. Carry on.
You know, it was like such there was this whole big thing at the beginning that like it was cute. We all thought like, oh, this is awesome. Taylor Swift phenomenon, the money that it's bringing in the NFL, the things that it's doing for women to pull them into football, and all of those pieces, right? And then it just got to be all the time. Did we lose Desi? Did she leave us in this talk? There you are. Like, did you decide not to continue with this conversation? So I feel like we've kind of gotten to this point where it's like, you love her or you hate her. And you love her or you hate her, and it's not just her. It's like all women.
Yes.
You know, it turned into more of a feminist movement. Protect your daughters are watching how you talk about this, versus people being annoyed that she's on a football game or whatever. You know, I feel like it's turned into a much bigger issue than
so many different directions, and it's just absolutely bewildering to me. Like I can't. I can't wrap my head around all the theories going out. I'm like, okay, let's just go back to my perspective, Beth. I totally agree with you with that. I still love it personally. I love it. I think it's adorable. I'm annoyed with hearing about it everywhere else except for the 25 seconds she's on camera during a 3.5 hour football game. And all she's seen doing is, yeah, okay, so nobody likes to see maybe the cutesy stuff. But listen, this arguably one of the greatest tight ends in the NFL is like, you know what? You want to know how manly I am? I am in love. And, and that drove men nuts. Like, nuts. Stick to football. Like, I think he's kind of conquered football. But I feel like it's like, gosh, if you put it in a different arena, okay, so back to Jessica Simpson when she was dating Tony Romo. Okay, Jessica Simpson is nowhere near Taylor Swift's level of anything. I hate even comparing her. But there was so much hubbub from Cowboys fans that she was the bad luck charm, that she was cursing their games when she was there. So yeah, there is a thing about famous, strong women showing up to football games for their boyfriends and getting really shit on. And in my opinion, she's living her life. She's not asking. She doesn't need more attention. She is the most popular superstar in the world. And also, she is an amazing role model. She is an amazing person. She is an amazing woman. She is, everybody's like, oh, because 15-year-olds listen to what she does. Because she's fucking awesome. She's awesome. She's talented. She's written 200 songs. She has more Grammys than anyone else. And she does it carrying herself with grace and poise, with being. I want to tell you a quick story about Taylor Swift that I did not know until I read, again, more up about this hubbub. She filed a police report. She was sexually assaulted. This was when she was 17. Sexually assaulted. The guy that she says assaulted her sued her for $3 million for defamation. She countersued him for $1 because she wanted to take him to court and get out exactly what he did to her. And she did. She didn't do it to sue him for money. She sued him for $1 to make a point. You can't bully her. I feel like there's a lot of people threatened by that. A lot of people threatened by a strong woman. And at the same time, I'm like, she's not a nut job. She's not trying to sell conspiracy theories. She's not promoting anything other than she's who she is. The biggest pop star of the world, cheering, being happy, getting people to go along. I don't see anything other than that. And I'm very sorry for that very long rant. I lost my voice. I'm sorry. That was it was so long. I'm so sorry. Man, I've been building that up.
Well, hopefully we all feel better after this. So my take is just this. Love her. Like you said, she's a badass. She's conquered her own endeavor. It's incredible, all the things she does. She's an incredible human, as far as I know. I hope she is, from what I see and read. We don't know these people independently, but there's not anything bad. And like you said, like, she keeps coming up with these great ways to like do the middle finger at people. So, I mean, I'm totally for all that. That said, much like when my phone hears me and maybe I say, hey, I'd like a Kristen Juszczyk jacket, and then I go on my phone and everything is showing Kristen Juszczyk. That's kind of how I feel about the football games. Doesn't mean I don't like her. Doesn't mean that I am going to say I don't want, I'm going to boycott the NFL or any nonsense like that. Just my preference. I don't need to see it every 2 seconds.
media then, man. Boycott
What's
the media because
Oh,
that's the only
absolutely.
people making it a big deal.
And that was my point, was the media, right? So like
Yeah.
they're capitalizing on her superstardom
Absolutely.
for revenue generating things on their end.
And they do it with every single one. Like you just talked about Eminem. Let's talk about Kid Rock.
Except, can we go back? Has Simone Biles had any of this talk? And I'm gonna leave it there. We don't need to go into that conversation, and we don't have to. We don't need to open that door. But Simone Biles has not been in the spotlight, but once, maybe all season, and I find that very interesting since she is
Our
the
most
goat
decorated.
of gymnastics. She is the goat of gymnastics.
I don't know if you know this, but I competed in gymnastics, and I am a 100,000% Simone Biles fan. That being said, I totally get that, but there's a small population of the country that watches women's gymnastics, right? And it is a media
thing. There's also no one doesn't know who Simone Biles is. Just like no one doesn't know who Taylor Swift is.
I actually would disagree with that, Beth. I really would. I would disagree. I don't think that most people would actually recognize Simone Biles by face unless you pay attention. And I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I love her. I wish she would get shown more. Let's put it for someone. Ciara, Russell Wilson. How many times was Ciara Wilson shown at Seattle? You guys know who Ciara is? She was shown every game in her bling outfits with Russell Wilson. You may not remember that if you don't.
Oh wait, is it because they're married now?
Well, it was when they were. Oh, could be, but it was even
when they were, because Simone is married now.
Maybe.
So is it no longer interesting?
Well, this is perfect because Giants Niner fan says the NFL wants Travis to propose to Taylor on the winner's stage.
So does that mean we won't have to hear about this next year if this happens?
If they get married,
we get it done and out of the way.
So, I mean, the last thing I'll say is I don't think, to me, you can have whatever opinion. It doesn't, if you don't want to see her all the time, it doesn't mean that you're a sexist or against women or don't want any of that. It could just be preference, right? For instance,
49ers fan that doesn't want to see somebody representing the Kansas City Chiefs all the time.
I would say that, but I love Mama Kelsey. I do love Mama Kelsey. But
it's just like if you went to Taylor Swift's concert and saw clips of Travis Kelce throughout the game or throughout the show. You're not there to see clips of Kelce.
Okay, but
you're there to see
it could be cute,
Taylor.
But it could, it could be.
But again, you're not there to see him. You're there to see her.
Desi and I touched on this briefly. This is the part that I want to get across. The number, so everybody's talking about, I just want to watch football. I don't want to see Taylor Swift all the time. Colin Cowherd did the statistical breakdown. Actually, I don't think it was him that did the statistical breakdown, but I mean, he read it. There was a statistical breakdown in the game that everybody is going crazy for. She was on camera for a grand total of 25 seconds over 3 clips in a 3.5-hour game. Do you know how many ads were shown during this time? The commentary on football players, the fans, Jason Kelce with his shirt on. So of course, another shot goes to Taylor because it's in the same suite because Jason Kelce is doing shots.
And I think it feels right. But I think what happens is because the way the media portrays it, and we can be done with this after this, but the way the media portrays it is it becomes, because you hear about it so much between the games, before the game, after the game, from all other aspects. By the time you get to the game, you're like, oh,
yeah,
I get it. They're dating. She's cute. She's cheering her on. Can we move on? And I'm so happy for them.
Yeah. So it's not just what you see
But the
on
next
screen at the
the
moment.
next
It's
thing, yeah,
yeah.
it's the buildup of all season.
So I guess like you guys are taking it from a TV perspective. So like I don't turn on the game until the game starts and have it in the background. You know what I mean? Till the game's over. So I guess I'm a different football game watcher in that sense. Where I see it from is more on the social media side. Since Desi made me get back on Twitter, by the way, I'm regretting that because that's where I see it all and all of the conspiracy theories. And it's like, that's overwhelming to me. Like, can we just like, just all collectively say, oh, good for them. And like, I don't know, move.
We could if they'd stop talking about it. I think is
Or you could still
like,
say that and still say I'm done. I don't want to, like if I ate steak every day for 30 days, it doesn't mean I don't like steak. It means I'm done with steak, right? It doesn't mean that I hate steak and I never want to see steak again and kill all cows and do all this. It doesn't have to be polarizing and extreme. It can
and my
just
daughter,
be
right.
like, hey, I just need to push pause on this. Like, but I don't want to push pause on football, right? Like I watch all the morning shows. I watch all the takes. I'm inundated with football, and there's nowhere that you can watch football without it coming up. So,
and and I think that's where my total different take is because I literally only watch the games. And like you're way more invested in watching all the football programs, and I only see it on game day. And then what everybody talks about on Twitter, I'm like, my goodness, why is this so big? It's only this little time.
Did we possibly solve this puzzle? Is that really it? Because most maybe the ones that are sick of it are the ones that are just nut jobs like me that live, breathe, and only watch
and
football.
I think, but like, and I go back and forth because I have the social media aspect of it, and what really got me, and again, we need to maybe move from here, but what got me was all of these posts about, your daughter is watching. My daughter is watching me all the time. She watches me yell at the football games. She watches me support her in gymnastics. I am a strong woman and she's a strong woman. She knows her worth and she's going to put her foot down. And she knows that I am tired of seeing Taylor Swift down there. But she also knows that Taylor Swift is making her. Like, it has nothing, like, she does not feel slighted or feel smaller as a woman because of this, right?
Yeah.
And that was what there was this big push, like, your daughters are watching, like, you are making them out to be like they can't do X, Y, and Z, or they're going to be chastised for X. No, that's not what my daughter sees coming out of this. What my daughter sees is a media shit show.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what she sees.
Think that we all actually agree a lot more than maybe we thought. I think at the end of the day, we probably baseline really agree, but where we get our inputs from is where we are annoyed with certain things or not. But like our baseline is in agreement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This was good.
And I would assume that most women feel that way.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think most women feel that way. Like at the end of the day, we're all kind of running that same baseline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least can agree to some extent.
But they don't talk about it like we do. Like they don't talk, like if you talked about it and brought up your different, viewpoints coming from this baseline, you might be able to be like, okay, I could see how you would see that because you are more interested in this. Therefore you see this, I see this. Maybe more people should start from the baseline and then have respectful discussions about it if we want to, or we could just stop talking about Taylor Swift and like at all.
But this is the value of communication, right? This is what gets lost in a post.
Social media.
You can't communicate and you can't like emote something through textual communication like you can with verbal communication, right? Like you can hear the genuineness in someone's voice, or you can hear the snarkiness, or you can hear those things, and you can't get that when you just throw something out there into the Twitterverse or Instagram world or Facebook or whatever other social media it is. So great work today, ladies. Very, very good work. Appreciate this. This is good. All right, we're going to carry on. We're going to wrap up with one more NFL situational chat here. I missed this last week because we were thinking so much about championship weekend. NFL Honors, the finalists were announced for this year. And I kind of just want to get your guys' opinion. So they have for MVP, Beth's amazing Josh Allen, the incredible Lamar Jackson, the ever elusive Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott, and, well, y'all know he's one of my faves, is Brock Purdy. So that's
Can I
the
just
list.
say Christian McCaffrey, only non-quarterback in that list?
That's what's up. The only non-QB.
I would go with him then.
I mean,
I'm not saying he deserves it. I'm just saying he's not the QB.
I mean, he's definitely earned it. Now, I will tell you who's right up on his toes for that, and from a running back perspective, is also a former 49er, is Raheem Mostert from Miami. I think he edged him out in a number of touchdowns, but Christian McCaffrey, I think, has beat him out in total yards. But yeah, great list. I'm glad I'm not the one that has to vote on this. I don't think, and it's interesting because these things are voted on before the season is over, right? Before the postseason. So it's, now do you look at Lamar Jackson a little differently given what you just saw in the AFC Championship game?
Yep.
Do you look at Brock Purdy differently now that you've seen his production in the postseason? But to be fair, I love all these guys. I think all these guys are tremendous athletes. They all have just excelled in their positions this year. And I think you can make a great case for Christian McCaffrey. It's been a while since there's been a non-QB that wins this award. I think the last one was a running back, if I'm not mistaken. So what are your thoughts? Who would you guys pick?
Okay, so I have to, first of all, I think you're right. The quarterbacks in that selection are all completely elite quarterbacks. I don't know how one would make there was not a team that was like consistently and across the whole season. There was not a quarterback that was just boom, 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 boom. There was ups and downs, of course, always. But what I think the reason I said Christian McCaffrey from the beginning is, if you remember from him playing on the Carolina Panthers, right? Would you have known his name if he still played for the Panthers? He was a standout at the Panthers, but I think what shows to me, if you're giving like an MVP award, it's like who comes breaking out of the pack and, standing out, and like you come from a team you couldn't do anything on to where you're now CMC, I mean, that to me, maybe that's a breakout player award versus MVP, but I don't know.
Is that the comeback player? I mean, I know he wasn't nominated for comeback player, right? But
I don't know. But I don't know how you decide between those quarterbacks, frankly.
I will tell you how you decide. I'm going to go with Josh Allen, but let me tell you why. And
right.
And I don't think we see this in all of the quarterbacks that are listed here. Josh Allen is, and always has, put the weight of the team on his shoulder. And if they win, he's ready to hand out accolades of why they won. And if they lose, it's on his shoulders. He has never once shirted or skirted a reason why something went wrong. He's always been brutally honest with why the team is or is not doing what they are supposed to be doing. And he is willing to stand up and own it every single game. And so from that standpoint, I feel like he is a person that as a player is that stands out differently from necessarily just a great quarterback. because they all are great quarterbacks on that list. And so that is why I would vote for Josh Allen.
I think that if Josh Allen were running for any sort of candidacy, if he did not pick you as his campaign manager, he would be a dumbass.
Well, in that case, I would be the one for Brock Purdy, because I will tell you, in my heart, honestly though, Beth, Josh Allen is right there. But he's supposed to be. He's 6'5". He's this giant, massive quarterback, giant arm. He gives these beautiful, beautiful throws that you and I saw live in person in Miami, right? And just fantastic. So when you look at a guy like Brock Purdy, who's not that guy, the last pick of the draft, coming off a season-ending injury, who shouldn't have even had a season this year, right? Who didn't even make the comeback player of the year award, but yet had zero preseason because he didn't play all summer because he's rehabbing. To come in your first full year as QB1 and to have this undefeated record so far in the postseason as this infant who's 24 years old, like, it's phenomenal what he's done. And so one could make the case that he has earned the MVP award as well. But I don't think any of us are wrong, to be fair. This is why it's a voted on thing. It probably comes
they
down
all deserve it. And truly I believe, listening, I pick and choose and I hear little snippets of things, but one of the talk shows that I heard, they didn't believe Josh Allen or Purdy should be in that list. So,
I know. And I don't get that one either. I don't know. I don't get it, but that's why
it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to see. Exactly. It is what it is.
Everything, it'd be so much more amazing.
Well, what's interesting is as all of these are kind of difficult. Like, you look at Defensive Player of the Year, you've got Deron Bland from the Cowboys. Max Crosby had an incredible season with the Raiders. Myles Garrett was just, in my mind, he might be the one. Cleveland had such a strong defense, and to stand out on that defense is something spectacular. Then you had Micah Parsons from the Cowboys. And TJ Watt, also tremendous year, got injured. Was he injured in the postseason? Did he get injured in the postseason? But all of these guys, fantastic. I think, in my mind, Myles Garrett may edge it out just a smidge. And right next to him, I would put Max Crosby for me personally. Thoughts?
None.
None. I agree with you on Myles Garrett. I think think he is deserving of that.
And TJ Watt too. I would say I don't know. The three of those would be.
No, I don't know.
Really like TJ Watt.
Yeah.
I don't either. I don't like the Steelers, really. Maybe that's it.
All right, going down the list, Offensive Player of the Year. Again, Christian McCaffrey is on this list from the 49ers. You got the Cheetah, Tyreek Hill. You got Lamar Jackson, which is interesting that he also makes this list, as well as Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb from the Cowboys. There's a lot of love on this a lot of Cowboys on these lists.
I'm not getting that. I actually just get angry hearing it. So maybe that's why I'm able to be judgmental, because I'm like, why are all these Cowboys there?
Yeah, I don't know. So for Offensive Player of the Year, I would pick Tyreek or Christian McCaffrey, to be honest. And I would probably say Christian McCaffrey because I'm a 49er fan and I'm jaded. Thoughts?
I don't have any disagreement with that. I think that's the two obvious between the two. I think you said Lamar Jackson is also up for that.
Yeah, one. Lamar and Dak, two quarterbacks in this.
Sometimes I look at too, who that player is to the team, not just who they are as a player. And I think maybe that's why I say Josh Allen for most valuable player. And then from this standpoint, I would say Tyreek Hill, because I feel like he made their offense, right? Like,
But what about Lamar Jackson then making their offense if he's not MVP? Like Lamar Jackson, that offensive, the rushing.
right. No, but I'm saying like I'm looking from how the game is. If you play a game without Lamar Jackson, or play a game with Tyreek Hill, how does that affect your team at the end of the
But that's
game,
the
right?
same
And I
thing.
would be more concerned about having Tyreek Hill out of my game
Yeah,
than maybe Lamar Jackson, truthfully.
right.
You know?
Definitely an argument for that.
Yeah.
All right, offensive rookie of the year. This is the one that I told you I was nervous about this one because there are some great folks on here. 2 Detroit Lions. So shout out to the Lions. We got Sam Laporta, the tight end, and we've got Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back. And then again, I've been talking about this guy all season, Puka Nacua from the Rams, CJ Stroud, the quarterback for the Texans.
I thought you were going to say CJ Stroud, your guy you've been talking about all year.
I know.
Both of them. Well, it's both. Both of them I have been. And I even have said, like, I don't know who I would pick as offensive rookie of the year because they both had such standout years. And then you also have Bijan Robinson from the Falcons. So I really don't see how it's not either Puka Nacua or CJ Stroud in my mind.
I think Jahmyr Gibbs.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
I was going with Stroud, but then I watched Sam Laporta play and I was like, well.
Listen,
these are all tough. I mean, these are all really difficult.
These are all tough. There's not really one standout. Like, I mean, in previous years, it's been somewhat more obvious, and it feels like there's an actual real race. I mean, they're all great. There's no bad nominees in any of these.
No. And I will say, I don't know if I said it, that was for offensive rookie of the year. And then you have defensive rookie of the year. And you've got Will Anderson from the Texans, defensive end. You got Jalen Carter, a defensive tackle from the Eagles. Joey Porter Jr. from the Steelers. He's a cornerback. Kobe Turner, who is a Rams defensive tackler. And then you've got Devin Witherspoon, who is a cornerback with the Seattle Seahawks. This one's tough because I think, again, Will Anderson on that Houston Texans team. But we played against Witherspoon in Seattle. He's fantastic as well. I don't know what I would pick for this one either.
Yeah, I don't feel a lot of excitement about that category.
I was going to say, I don't feel like I follow defense close enough across the league to be able to make a educated guess on that.
That's fair. Comeback player of the year. I think this might be the obvious one because Damar Hamlin is on this list. Joe Flacco, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, and Tua Tagovailoa. I feel like it's Damar, right? Like, this is not even debatable.
I mean, so here's my thing. Like, yes, he was dead and not dead anymore. I give him that. But it's not like he was playing crazy high level of football, right? I honestly
from the dead player of the year.
Right. I mean, come back from the dead, yes. To a comeback from too many concussions, shouldn't be playing football anymore. Truthfully, I kind of feel like Joe Flacco.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Beth talking, and she is a Buffalo Bills fan. Mm-hmm. So just know that it was her that said Joe Flacco.
I
did
with her, to be honest. Although as Beth campaigns for her players, I would campaign for Baker Mayfield in this category, but I concur with Beth. Actually, I think Joe Flacco is a good pick in this category.
I can see where the argument is. I just don't see how anyone wins this but Damar. Like, that was the day that the NFL stood silent. Like, all of us, I just don't know how.
I guess to me, comeback is when you've been playing badly and you've turned it around. It's not like coming back from an injury. You know what I mean?
Which is why, you know, Tua wasn't on my list, which is why, you know, that same idea of you.
Like, you were playing bad, not that you were injured. You were playing not so good, and then you turned it the fuck around.
This often is an injury one, though. Just you know, in years past, sometimes this is kind of sometimes known as that type of award, like people who've come back from ACL tears or like
injury.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, yes, coming back from the dead would constitute winning this category.
Have we consulted Aaron Rodgers? I don't know if he's mentally formed himself back into this category.
Well, I will say Brock is missing from this category again, season-ending injury. But anywho,
he is listed in plenty of places. You are good.
I'm good.
Good.
He's listed in one place. He's in one place. He's in one place.
McCaffrey's in a couple. That's right.
Yeah. Coach of the year: Dan Campbell, John Harbaugh, D'Amico Ryans, Kyle Shanahan, and Kevin Stefanski. Who are you guys picking?
You know what? It's got to be Dan Campbell for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I agree 100%.
Harbaugh screwed the pooch. He had the he could have he
what?
He what? Screwed the pooch. I mean, that means he had
what does that mean?
Like, he had it in his hands and he could have had it, so like, and he didn't. I feel like he had the world in his hands and he did not materialize it. Whereas Dan Campbell, how do you argue with a team? First time playoffs, like, you know, championship game in is it half a century, 50 years? Okay, so I don't agree still with the field goal versus going for it on 4th and 3 call, but Dan Campbell got them to that place. So he knows better than I. I think he changed that city's whole life this year. I mean, he has to be. Like, he changed the Detroit Lions.
I agree.
He changed it. I don't know how you argue with that. I don't think there's even a comparison.
Well,
I mean, you look at who was Goff last year?
Yeah, exactly.
Who was their quarterback last year, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, they were coming alive last year. I mean, I'm going to make an argument for D'Amico. A rookie coach, rookie quarterback. Texans have never won a Super Bowl. And as a rookie coach and rookie quarterback, you make it to the playoffs. So I definitely think that is something to consider.
It's a great start, but does that make him coach of the year?
I think so.
We will find out.
I won't be mad if Campbell gets it. Let's just put it that way. I think it's between those two. Assistant coach of the year: Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald.
For me, girl.
What's that? Did you say Ben Johnson for you?
No, I said you're going so deep for me, girl, to think I know assistant coaches throughout the league.
Let me back it up. Ben Johnson.
You forgot you're talking to us and not the girls you talked to last week.
It's not the girls from last week. Me and Beth.
Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. So think about that. The offensive coordinator for the Lions, Ben Johnson. You got the defensive coordinator for Baltimore, Mike McDonald, which I think he's getting a head coaching job.
I do believe.
Where did I hear that? My brain hurts. I can't think of where it is. Oh, maybe Seattle. Oh, I think it's Seattle. Then you have the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, Todd Monken. And then Cleveland Browns defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. Oh, man, he definitely. And then you've got the Texans offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick. So my money's on Jim Schwartz. I mean, his defense was nasty. But you could also say, I mean, I'm a defensive person. I like defensive, the defense side of the ball.
Wins championships.
Yep. So I think Mike McDonald could also be a good option as well. Those are my two picks, the two defensive coordinators. Shocker. All right. I won't bother you guys about that category. So. All right. I think that wraps up. Yes, I think that wraps up all that we wanted to get into tonight. Next Wednesday is going to be amazing. So next Wednesday, we've got a little 49er fan who also plays flag football, who loves George Kittle, is going to be coming on. No, her name's Raina, and she is just adorable. So she's going to be on. I am hoping to have someone that you and I met, Beth, at the Bills game to talk about what to drink for the tailgate.
Yes.
And we are also going to have back our favorite Chiefs person. We've got Miss Jody coming back to talk about all things Super Bowl. So we're going to have our Chief representation. We're going to have our Niners representation, and Miss Jody might actually be in Vegas. She's low-key asking if I'm going out there, and I'm trying to be really, really good and say no, in case my husband's listening. So anyway, we've got a great show next week. Guys, hopefully you stuck with us through this one. I know it was a little bit edgy at moments, but hopefully we all brought everything together. Football is meant to have fun, but it can also be a time where we can just come together, chat things out, and don't we all feel better? I think we all feel better. But enjoy this week, because next week we're coming back. It's Super Bowl week, baby, and we got lots of things to talk about. So happy Wednesday and happy football.
Bye.